local people, important issues. CBS 10 WILM's weekly focus on the lower Cape Fear region. This is Byline Wilmington with your host, Don Ansell.
Hot town, summer in the city, back of my neck getting dirt and gritty. Bend down,
isn't it
a pity? Doesn't seem to be a shadow in the city.
Welcome. And good morning. I guess that's familiar to a lot of you in one form or another. Today, our guest is an original member of one of the all-time legendary rock groups. They got together in 1965, and after 44 years, members are still touring. It's a great pleasure to welcome the bass guitarist of the Lovin Spoonful, Steve Boone, to this edition of Byline Wilmington. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Don. It's very
good
nice
to
to
see
meet
you.
Nice to see you, too.
I feel like I know you through your music all these years. Have been, I think we were chatting, I said, it's the music, it's the fabric of my life.
Yeah, well, you know, first comment is it's interesting you said 44 years because I think I'm lucky to still be standing after 44 years in the music business. But the Lovin Spoonful music does wind its way through the lives of a lot of people. And I think that's one of the reasons that 44 years later we're still touring.
I know. So you grew up where?
Well, I grew up all over the place. I was born right here in Onslow County. My dad was in the Marine Corps, but he and his father had some hotel properties in Southern Pines and in the Pocono Mountains. So I grew up between the Pocono Mountains, North Carolina, and then in Florida. I lived in Florida in the 50s. And then ended up for my high school years in Long Island, New York, where I graduated high school, and then the Lovin Spoonful came shortly thereafter.
What was the music you were listening to as a kid?
Oh man, Buddy Holly, of course Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry, Ray Charles. You know, that 50s era was just magical for me at the age that I was at, and my older brother Skip, who's 6 years my senior, had one of the very first rock bands in North Florida. In fact, he opened for Elvis in Jacksonville, Florida.
What made you learn the guitar?
Pick
up the guitar.
In 1960, I was a junior in high school, and on the last day of high school, I was in a tremendous car crash. And I was literally almost killed, but the recovery of the accident, from the accident, was about a 9-month period. I was laid up, could not get out of the couch, on crutches, and my mom bought me a guitar for Christmas, and just sitting there recovering, and my brother would come in and show me a chord or two. I learned how to play guitar to the folk music of Peter, Paul, and Mary, and you know, that era, the Kingston Trio. And I never really thought it would become a career. I had always wanted to be a Marine Corps aviator, and the automobile accident effectively ruled out any chance of being in the military, much less fly.
So you didn't like dream about becoming a rock star?
No, I did not. I did not.
On your radar?
No, aviation was always my career goal.
And that's what you thought you'd do when you grew up?
That is what I thought I would do when I grew up, yes.
So your parents, now here you are, you know, your life's path is kind of altered, and when did that idea come into your mind, and what was your parents' reaction to, I'm going to play some music?
Well, after I got back on my feet again, I would play the guitar at beach parties, just sitting around playing folk songs and singing and writing songs, just, you know, being part of the scene. And then in 1962, my older brothers and the future drummer for the Lovin Spoonful, Joe Butler, had a rock band on Long Island. They invited me to join the band. And so I joined on a weekend basis, picking up pocket money while I was going to school, college. And I never still thought it would become a career. And in 1964, I went to Europe for about 4 or 5 months. My best buddy and I bought motorcycles, traveled all around, came back in December of '64. I was getting ready to go back to my first year of college. My second year of college, and my brother Skip suggested I go meet these two guys in Greenwich Village who were looking for a bass player. And I still didn't think it would be a career. I was into getting my college degree and going on with my life. And I met John Sebastian and Zalyanovsky in Greenwich Village in December 1964, and we hit it off instantly.
You did?
Instantly.
You
just like magic, if I will.
Right. Was there one driving force for the group, or did everybody sort of collaborate?
Well, from my perspective, the driving force was John's songs. He was just getting started as a songwriter, and he presented 2 or 3 of his original songs to me when I was still making my decision about whether to go with the band.
So they offered you, said, "Come, we want you to."
They said, you know, I resisted. I said, no, I'm going back to college in January. They said, give us 6 months. We've got a manager, we've got a producer, we've got original songs. Give us 6 months, and if it doesn't work by then you can head back to school in the fall.
So you did it.
And I thought, what the heck, I can't turn that down.
6 months, right?
That's right, exactly.
And did you become like friends?
We were like best of friends.
Yeah.
It was an amazing, as though we were best friends for years, and our musical tastes were very similar. We hit it off right away and had no big problems at all with chemistry.
You hit it off. You had to be somewhere where someone heard you, or did you bring demos around and drop them?
Both, all of the above. You know, we were rehearsing in Greenwich Village at the Hotel Albert. And we would schlep our gear down to Night Owl Cafe on West 3rd Street. And Joe Mara, the owner of the Night Owl Cafe, a great guy, ran into him last year in New York City at a show. He gave us a job in February of '65 and immediately fired us. He said, you guys are terrible.
Really?
Yes, he said, you guys are terrible.
I guess you had a big laugh when you saw him last year.
Well, he said, you know, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have had a 44. He's an Italian guy. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have had a 44-year career. But he was right, and he did. He sent us back to the Hotel Albert, and that's when Joe Butler joined the band. We had used another drummer for the first couple of gigs, and Joe Butler joined in March of '65. We went back to the Night Owl in March or April of '65, and then the folk scene became a folk rock electric scene, and we were sort of at the leading edge of that.
We're going to come back with more from our guest, the bass guitarist for the Lovin Spoonful. Where'd that name come from? We'll find out. Stay with us.